Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is midday if you're in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. Do remember though, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up and watch them at any time by clicking the videos tab at the top of my Twitch page. Because all of my live streams are edited and sent back up there. Smurfberry Barbecue, howdy doody to you as well. How you doing, Smurf? It's good to see you. As always, guys, if you've got any questions while I'm working, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If you want any help, I'm happy to try. If you just want to watch, that's completely fine. Or if you just want to pop into chat and say hello, that's always welcome. Smurfberry says, I'm giving up on Blender. Oh no, why are you giving up on Blender, Smurf? What's Blender done? Come on, Phil, tell us. Why has Blender made you give up on it? For anyone that doesn't know, Blender is a free 3D program you can download and use. Smurfberry says, it's missing too many fundamental features. Again, I've not played with Blender personally, I'm a Max guy. That's unfortunate that it's missing fundamental features. Like what? Doesn't it have it had the basics covered, I imagine, pretty well. And it's free, so you know you can't bitch too much about free, although we do. But that's a shame. But anyway, despite what Smurfberry Barbecue says, if you do want to do 3D and you don't want to spend any money, download Blender and use it because it is completely free. And again, for anyone that doesn't know, if you do want to use an Autodesk product like 3D Studio Max or Maya, or a range of other products that Autodesk distribute, and you have a student email address, you can get a free 3-year license from Autodesk. You can't use the software commercially, but it's fully functional and you can use it for 3 years for no money at all. So that's a pretty good deal from Autodesk as well, if you're learning Max or you're a student or a teacher. Smurfberry says, like component selection that makes sense when coming from Maya. Okay. Well, there might be a bit of a learning curve to learn a different way of doing it the way that Blender likes, as opposed to the way that Maya does it, or Max does it. Smurfberry says, like always, displaying UVs without having to have everything in the 3D view selected. So you're saying always displaying UVs without having to have everything in the 3D view selected. So you've got to select everything in the 3D view to display UV. That's bizarre. That is bizarre. Smurfberry says it's not that it does something differently, it's that it doesn't even have a substitute for it. Again, no, you got to remember, if you're coming from Maya or Max or Cinema 4D or any of those commercial 3D programs that have been in development and developed for decades, that you pay for, the Blender is probably not going to have all of the features that those 3D programs have, simply because Blender is, you know, free. It's open source and free, so yeah, it might be. But look, if it doesn't do what you want it to do, then don't use it. Use what you like. That's what I've always said. If you like Maya, use Maya. You like Max, use Max. You like Cinema 4D, use Cinema 4D. You like Blender, use Blender. Can't please all the people all the time. So it really just falls down to what you feel most comfortable using. Because, I mean, you know, you're the one that's interacting with it, and if you don't like it, don't use it. Forget what other people tell you about what the best 3D program is. It's whatever you feel most comfortable using is the best one. None of this fanboy rubbish. Smurf says no pre-selection highlights and no add-ons for it either. Pre-selection highlights, oh, I'd miss that. That's really important to me when I'm working in 3D. So that would be a showstopper for me, I'm afraid, in Blender. And add-ons, yeah, add-ons are good. Max has a lot of add-ons, a lot of scripts you can install and buy, and free ones as well. I've even actually written plugins for Max that I've given away. So Max has got a huge library of add-ons you can add to the program if it doesn't do what, you know, if you want a specific thing that Max hasn't got built in. So no add-ons would be a bit of a pain as well. Why is that? They should add the ability to have add-ons. I don't get that. I mean, it's good for the program. That should be like top on their priority list of things that the devs are looking at implementing, because I think it's, like I said, it's good for the program. It's good for the people that make the add-ons. It's good for everyone. So yeah, even though I don't tend to use a huge amount of add-ons in Max, I try to stick to basic Max. I have a couple, like if I'm doing retopology, I have a plugin for that. I have a physics plugin. But aside from that, and an optimization plugin as well. But aside from that, I don't tend to use a lot of add-ons personally, but I know a lot of people do. Smurf says, no, it has add-ons. I mean, nobody has written an add-on for pre-selection highlight. Oh, that works with 2.0. Okay. I was going to say, I'd be amazed if it didn't have add-ons, because, I mean, that's just something that every 3D software has. But they don't have one for pre-selection highlighting that works with 2.8. Okay. Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, because pre-selection highlighting is something I use all the time. I don't know how you'd work with it without that functionality, really. It should be built into the program, that sort of thing. That shouldn't be required as an add-on. Just my opinion. Smurf does say that Blender does have lots of add-ons, and he says, if I were willing to invest a very significant amount of time, I could learn all of Python and write my own add-ons, but that's like more than a year of learning. Python is a good language to learn regardless of whether you're going to do it for Blender, because it's used in Vue, it's used in Max, it's used in Maya, it's used in a lot of different software. I mean, I'm using it in OBS even to send over the on-screen pop-ups that happen on stream. So Python is a great language to learn, regardless. It's been around for donkey's years, and it's going to be around for donkey's years to come. Smurfberry says, Blender is very extensible and powerful that way. Yeah, Max is too. Don't think Python is really well integrated into 3D Studio Max and Maya. I'm assuming Cinema 4D as well, although I haven't used Cinema 4D for a long time now. But not just those 3D programs. Python is integrated into a lot of different software, not just 3D, a lot of different stuff. So Python is always a good scripting language to learn. If you got the time and the inclination, I do recommend you learn it. I mean, I know the basics of it, but I wouldn't call myself a Python guru. It's even me. I need to get back into Python and learn a bit more about it. Just finding the time. Like you said, if you've got a year to devote to learning it, well then, all well and good. But even if you don't have a year to devote, you can spend it, an hour here and there, once a week maybe, just learning a bit here and there. It all adds up, just like 3D. You won't get better unless you do it. So practice makes perfect. So if at first when you start doing 3D you find it difficult, then stick at it, because it gets easier. Once you learn the interface, the most difficult part really is learning the interface, to be honest with you. The rest of it comes pretty easily after that. So stick with it and you'll get better at it. I love my coffee. Could not live without my coffee. Okay, what are we doing? We are creating the master bedroom for the House in the Hollow game, which is available to wishlist now on Steam. Click the graphic below my stream in my panels. That'll take you to the Steam store page where you can check the game out, and if you're inclined, you can add it to your wishlist. It's due for release at the end of this year. We're going to be working on the master bedroom. We're working on the master bed for the master bedroom in 3D Studio Max and in Substance Painter. So that's what we're going to continue with today. For anyone that wants to know more about me, go to phildoes3d.com. You can look at my previous work. You can check out my art station. There's links to my social media. But my background is I've worked in games development. I've worked in film. Now I work in Arts Biz for one studio, and I work back in games development for another game studio. So that's my background, and I'm a 3D Studio Max user. But we're going to jump straight into Substance, and I just want to explain some changes I made since yesterday's stream. So what I've basically done is I've changed the fabric on the blanket we have at the end of the mattress here. So we were using this material that we made in Alchemist, which you can't see because it's hidden behind my music. Can I move it? No, I can't. But I've changed it to this one here. So basically all I did was swap out the material, the substance material, because I just think that this one looks a little nicer than the other one. The other one we can still probably use. We'll use it for maybe we could use it somewhere else in the bedroom maybe. But that's basically the only change here from yesterday is I just swapped out, and I only swapped out the shader. I left all the other layers intact, all of our blending layers, so everything else is the same. It's just the actual texture itself, the material itself, that I swapped out. Now, there was another thing that I realised yesterday after the stream was we have a bed, we have like a doona or a quilt or whatever you want to call it here, but it's just a blank mattress. There's no sheeting or anything. That was a bit of an oversight on my part. Smurfberry says stuff like pre-selection highlighting needs advanced stuff like overlay rendering and raycasting and interacting with depth buffers. That's way too complex to learn in a short. That is. That's a lot to wrap your head around if you're trying to script all that in Python. For sure. I'm surprised somebody else isn't doing it though. I mean, there are so many coders around, and because Blender has become so popular, I would have thought somebody would have tackled that sort of thing by now. So yes, we were, I realised we just have a blank mattress here. We don't have any sheet, which is just weird. We can't have a bed without a sheet on it. Oh, we could, but it's just going to look a bit bizarre. So anyway, what I've done is I've jumped back into Max and I've added a sheet, or a blanket, basically. And again, this sort of cloth physics is really easy to create in Max. You just use Mass Effects, which is this little menu along the side of the screen here. So you can set up your cloth, you set up your inactive objects, which in this case would have been the bed, and then you set the simulation playing, and voila, you have your cloth. Smurfberry says, I've been writing a few small add-ons over the last few weeks that are essentially macros and automate certain things like setting the viewport shading settings with a single button press, but that's about as far as my Python skills go. Well, every little bit helps. I mean, obviously you've written them and it's helped you with that, even though they're just like macro scripts and automating things, that's still really useful. Smurfberry says simple stuff and loops and arrays. But now I've hit some walls that are way above my skill level. Fair enough. But do remember too that there are a lot of forums around, and I'm sure if you get stuck somewhere, there are people that could help. Tuatara, good to see you, Tuatara. How are you? Afternoon to you as well. It's good to see you, Tuatara. And you are in New Zealand, aren't you? Because I always get you confused with with Contigi, because Contigi is in the United States, and I always think that he's you. But I'm sure you're in New Zealand, aren't you, Tuatara? Because you've got the NZ at the end of your username. But it's good to see you. I hope you're well. Smurfberry says, nah, then you run into the fanboy. That's true. There's nothing worse than asking for help on a forum and people go and say, use Google. That's a bit rude. Bit rude. Tuatara says, doing well here and yourself? Yep, in New Zealand, I thought so. I'm doing really well, yes. Thanks for asking, Tuatara. Was just telling the guys that you can wishlist the game that I'm creating with the Game Studio at the moment, on Steam at the moment. It's not due for release till the end of the year. But you can wishlist it now. You just click the graphic in my panel below my stream if you want to check it out. So, busy, working for the Archviz Studio, working for the Game Studio. But good. And you guys know I love what I do, so I don't mind. It's all good. But it's good to hear you're doing well. So yes, the blanket. We had a mattress that had no blanket on it, so I thought that was a bit weird. So I made a blanket using Mass Effects in 3D Studio Max, which was very simple. So what I'm going to do is we've already exported the mattress part out of Substance. So now we have to do a reset on the X form for the blanket. Collapse that stack. I've already UV mapped it as well, by the way, so you don't have to watch me UV mapping. We're just going to export the blanket into our We don't want the floor, we want the canopy bed. And we're just going to call it blanket. Now I'm going to texture it up separately inside of Substance Painter. But when I export it again, and before we bring it into Unreal, I'm going to attach it to the mattress. So yeah, it's only going to be one blanket. I don't need to duplicate it or instance it inside of UE4. So it'll be easier for me to position it if it's one object in Max and then bring it in as a complete object inside of Unreal. If I wanted to reuse the blanket somewhere else, then of course I'd separate it, and that way we can instance it inside of Unreal. But we're not going to be doing that for the blanket, so let's export the blanket. I'm not going to do a vertex color like I have for the rest of it either, because it's only one texture on one object, not multiple textures for one object. So let's just save our Max file now that we've done that. And let's jump into Substance Painter. Now, before I close this project down, I'm going to make a smart material out of the doona that we've got on the end of the bed, because I think when we come to do the pillows for the bed, the pillows really should match the doona. That's generally what happens when you're setting up your bedroom and you buy your sheets and your doona covers and your pillowcases. Usually the pillowcases are matched to the doona cover. They don't have to be. But what we'll probably end up doing is creating two separate textures for the pillows, so that we can have two different types of pillow on the bed, two different textured pillows on the bed. But one of them will be this texture we're using for the doona. So what I need to do is I need to put all of our layers into a new group. We're going to call this my bed quilt. And let's convert it to a smart material. And there it is down there. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can make sure this project is saved. I've already exported the updated texture, so let's create a new project. And let's work on the blanket we just exported. Now I'm going to work on it in the viewport at 2K. But I probably will end up, I may export the actual texture at 1K. We'll see how it goes. But we want to compute tangent space for fragment. And again, the blanket is the same as the curtains on the bed. The polygons are only on one side. Again, that's just to save poly count. And when we bring it into Unreal, we'll just create a two-sided material, and that will hide that. So we can halve our poly count by not having back faces on the polygons. Let's start baking out our maps. And again, I'm going to bake them at 2K, but we probably will export at 1K and use the low poly as the high poly. Let's rename the default material to bed blanket. Now in our materials, we have that material we made yesterday that we downloaded from Quixel Bridge. So we'll look at that. That might be a good material for this blanket. But I think what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with a fabric base that is just plain. Let me just find one here that might be good. Let's see if I can change the color on this one. I can. Let me change the scaling. I'll leave it this color for the moment. What we're going to do now is look for that fabric we downloaded yesterday from Quixel Bridge. And again, Quixel Bridge, if you're a UE4, you're making a game in UE4, you have access to all of the Quixel library for free now that Epic Games own Quixel. Now, where did I put that fabric? I think I put it under this one here. The Hambone. It's good to see you, Hambone. How you been? What you been up to? You been doing any programming lately? Or any 3D stuff? How you going? I hope you had a good weekend, Hambone. It's good to see you. Always good to see you, buddy. So let's throw down this material we downloaded from Bridge. Let's up the scaling. Hambone says, not at all. Took a long break. That's okay. Look, I mean, I ask because I want you guys doing 3D stuff and artwork or programming. But if you're not feeling it, don't do it. I've always said that, you know, if you're not in the zone, then don't do it because you won't do good work anyway. And there are days where I just want to be a vegetable and do nothing, which I did over the Christmas break. I hope your Christmas and New Year was good too, by the way, Hambone. So I did nothing over the Christmas break. I had a nice rest. So I get it. It's all good. Okay, so let's play around with this. Let's delete the layer at the bottom because it's just a blank layer. But you need to get back into it, Hambone. Well, I fully approve of that as well. I do approve of getting back into it. Practice makes perfect and everything. But it's still good to see you. And like I said, I hope you had a good Christmas, New Year. I'm just trying to work out if I want to change the scaling or the orientation on this. Let's just have a look at a 90-degree rotation on the orientation and see what that looks like. Oops, I did the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one. Let's set that back to 0. Let's move up to the right layer. And let's set our rotation to 90. So I'm just trying to work out how I want this to run. Hambone says it was good. Hope your holidays were great and all your wild dreams came true. My holidays were good. They were quiet because normally I go up to visit my relatives, my family up in Queensland. That's where I'm originally from, but I live in Victoria now, down the bottom of Australia. Normally I fly up to the top to visit my relatives, but I didn't do that this year. I decided to be completely self-indulgent and lazy and not visit my family for Christmas. I had friends over for a Christmas lunch, which was nice and relaxing because you don't have to put up with family arguments or any of that sort of thing, or drunk family members, which usually happens over Christmas, at least for me. Not that I get drunk, but other family members do, like my brother likes to drink. So I didn't have to put up with any of that. So it was a nice, relaxing Christmas and New Year because I didn't go out New Year's Eve because it's impossible to get a taxi or an Uber and I don't drive, so... And you can't drink and drive anyway. Hambone says, hope you were not impacted by the bushfires. No, a couple of the guys were concerned. The guys and girls. No, I live in the inner city of Melbourne and all of the bushfires are out in the country areas of all of the different states in Australia. Like there is a bushfire that's come close to Canberra, which is the capital city for politicians, but no one cares if the politicians go up. I shouldn't say that. We do care. So the bushfires came close to that city, but not Melbourne. It's on the outskirts in the country areas mainly. But there have been huge bushfires. I mean, 1 billion animals killed, about 3,000 homes destroyed. I think about 33 or so people have been killed. It's been really bad. But thankfully, no, I'm safe where I am because I'm in the inner city of Melbourne. And we have been getting some rain lately, which has helped to put out some of the bushfires. I mean, there are still bushfires going, don't get me wrong. There are still major problems in Australia with bushfires happening. But some of them have been put out because of the weather, thankfully. And it's all the animals. You see all the animals that have been killed. It's just awful, really awful. You know, just terrible. Not to mention the people. I mean, the people that have died, that's a tragedy as well. And the homes lost. It's not good. It's global warming. Oh, don't get me started with global warming, man. I just want to hit a politician sometimes. Our politicians, that is. Tuatara says, I was going to ask about the fires. We're still getting the smoke coming across here. Yeah, I've heard that the smoke's been travelling all the way across the ocean to New Zealand. I mean, Melbourne, the air quality in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago was worse than the quality in China. It was terrible because the bushfire smoke blew across the city. So basically you couldn't see more than like 15 metres ahead of you, and then it was just all, it looked like fog, but it was smoke. And breathing that in is really bad. All the particulate matter in smoke going into your lungs is not good. So yeah, the air quality was terrible. So I can imagine having it blowing over New Zealand wouldn't be very nice either. But that's because there have just been huge bushfires. I mean, all along the coast of Australia, all along the east coast, some along the west coast, some down the south. So yeah, it's been a terrible bushfire season. And the weather, the summer has been just awful. I mean, it's been hot and hot for extended periods of time. It's just been terrible. I'm looking forward to winter coming. I really, really am. Chuatara says, not surprising. I was in Brizzy in November. The conditions there were shocking. Yeah. Well, again, yeah, the fires were close to Brisbane. They've been close to Sydney. I mean, they've been close to Melbourne as well, but not in the cities. And just depending on what way the wind is blowing at the time, yep, all that smoke being blown across the major cities is not good. Whether it's Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne or Adelaide or Perth. That's basically where all the fires have been surrounded around those major cities. It is not good at all. And again, it's global warming. I mean, we've got to stop burning fossil fuels. It's got to stop. We have to go to more renewable energy. Otherwise, these fires, because California had really bad fires too, just gone in the United States. And otherwise, these fires are just going to get worse and worse and worse, and the weather is going to get worse and worse. It'll get to the stage where we won't be able to leave your house or wherever you live, because it'll just be too hot to go outside. I mean, no one wants to live in a world like that, surely. So, yeah. Politicians, I tell you. Let's throw a smart mask down here. The Hambone says, meh. I think humans have had enough. Oh, so the Hambone wants everything to end anyway. Hambone wants to reset things back to zero. All the humans can be gone. Listen, mate, it might be a good... I'm not arguing with you, Hambone. You see the way some human people behave and you think, yeah, do we deserve to be on the planet? Do we really? But not everyone's like that. There are good people as well, but So, let's have a look at... Let's look at the edges damaged. Chuatara says, yep, I agree. I miss Wellington in the 80s. I long for the days where we talked about weather that made it to 20 degrees Celsius in summer as being a hot day. I know. I remember when I first moved to Melbourne, it was never like this. I mean, that's why I moved to Melbourne, because Queensland is very humid and hot, being toward the equator in Australia. So I moved to Melbourne, which is right down the very bottom, because I like the cool weather. And when I first moved to Melbourne, it was beautifully cool. I loved it. But now the weather in Melbourne is just like the weather in Queensland. It gets as hot, if not hotter. It was like 45 degrees one day last week. It was just terrible. That's Celsius, by the way, for you Americans. 45 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. It was just awful. And like I said, we have these days now that last... These heat waves that don't last for 1 day or two, they last for like 5 days. And that's, putting up with that is just awful. Mercury says 45? Hell no. That's right, 45 Celsius. That's what it was in Melbourne, not just last week, I think it was. It was awful. Awful, 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 awful. Hambone says it's oddly warm in Kentucky this time of the year. 50s Fahrenheit. Kentucky does get very hot though, doesn't it? Because you're sort of like, excuse my ignorance with American geography, but you're near Texas, yeah? Somewhere around Texas. Doesn't Texas get very hot as well? So yeah, during the summer it gets too hot. It gets too hard. Too hot, yep. Yeah. You're tired, that's okay. Yeah, so I feel for you. Tuatara says, yep, wet and raining Wellington has regular water restrictions over summer. It's now not uncommon to have no rain for weeks. And yeah, that's the other thing. It's not just the heat, it's the lack of rain. I mean, we all need water to live. If there's no water, we die. So not only is the heat a problem for your body, but then the lack of water is a problem because there are places around the world that are starting to run out of water. I mean, there was a city, I remember a news story at the end of last year in Africa, where the city had run out of water. They were actually having to truck water in. I mean, no one wants that. Now, look, Melbourne has a big desalination plant where they take seawater and they turn it into fresh water. So they can do that. But that's outrageous. I mean, number one, the amount of power that it uses, which is being generated by burning coal in this country. So you're pumping crap into the atmosphere from that. So the amount of power that these desalination plants use is huge. The desalination plant that's built here in Victoria is the size of a small town. It is massive. It cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to build. Yeah, so you can get around no water with the no water problem that way. But I mean, really, you're making things worse by burning up so much coal to use for power. To power the thing. When, if we just went to renewable energy, then we wouldn't have this problem. Would we? No, we wouldn't. Try telling some of our politicians that, though. Not to mention the fact that the bushfires have cost the economy millions and probably end up being billions of dollars because of tourism. Yeah, it's just been terrible. Because tourists don't want to visit a town that's been burnt to the ground, do they? So all around it is not good. No, I'm just adding the smart mask here, just to give us a bit of wear here and there on the blanket. I'm also going to just duplicate, turn that back on. I'm going to duplicate the top layer. I'm also going to, what am I going to do? I might just change the blending mode on the top layer. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out the mask we've got going on here. Hambone says, what are you working on tonight? I am working on a bed for the master bedroom for the game that I'm working on. So we're working on the blanket here for the bed that's going to go into the master bedroom inside of the game. So if the colours are funky, it's because we're using vertex colouring when we do the texturing inside of Substance Painter. That's what we're working on. We're working on 4-poster bed, and we're working on the blanket for the 4-poster bed before we take it into Unreal. Hambone says, yeah, you're still going to do the game? I'm super excited. Yes, I am. Hambone, if you look below my stream, there's a little graphic in my panels that says wishlist the game on Steam. You can click that, go to Steam, because it's up on Steam to wishlist now. Not due to be released till the end of the year, though. So if you do want to wishlist the game, click the graphic below my stream and my panels. It'll take you to the Steam store page where you can check it out. And if you want wishlist. Guaranteed purchase, good to hear. You can already wishlist, yes, that's right. Cool. So yeah, it's not due to be released though until Q4 2020, so not till the end of the year. But the guys and I decided at the game studio we put up the Steam store page early, because that's just what you do these days, it seems. You know, I don't think we're going to be doing an early access though. I'm pretty sure we're not. Yeah, not at this stage anyway. So just general release at the end of the year. Handbone says, how many people are working on it? There is the composer, the programmers, myself. I think there's about 7 people working on it. including myself. So it's a small indie team putting it together. It's not a big, huge studio. Yeah. Where did I find them? I'm working for a game studio, so that I set up. It's the studio that I'm working. I work for an ArchBiz studio. Okay, that's one business that I just work for. I work for a game studio that I'm a director of. And the game studio that I'm a director of, it's a design studio, so we also do other stuff apart from games. We don't do ArchBiz because that's the other company I'm working for. It's an ArchBiz company. But we do stuff like 3D models for clients, like outsource stuff for people that want 3D models done. We also do web design and web development. That's not really what I'm involved with, but there are other people in the studio that do that. So there's like little groups in the studio that are responsible for different projects. So Hambone says, so you work for, yeah, I do. I work for I do. I work for two companies. I work for an ArchBiz studio and I work for a games studio, which is more of a general design studio, but I work for the games part of that studio. So yes. Hambone says the game has been wishlisted. Good to hear. Thanks for wishlisting the game, Hambone. Awesome. And yeah, it's the best way if you are interested in the game, perhaps. So, wishlisting it is no big deal. You can remove it from your wish list at any time you want on Steam. But it lets you know when the game is released. It also will let you know if we make any updates. So I post any updates and stuff on the game. You'll get a notification through Steam that way. So if you do want to keep up to date with what's happening with the game, it's a great way to do that by wishlisting it. I'm glad you're happy, Hambone. I'm happy to make you happy. Hambone says, nope, going to buy day one. Well, that's good to hear, Hambone. Thank you for that. I like it when people want to buy the game. Okay. Hambone says, I'm hoping to get a mobile game out. Oh, cool. I'll have a mobile game out this year. Well, you let me know when you do and I'll make a purchase of that as well. If it's Android, that is, because I'm an Android phone user. But that sounds really cool. My goal is for 2020. Well, remember too, though, if you set a goal and you can't meet the goal, there's no shame in delaying. Because things happen. Not everyone, the best laid plans can go astray. So it's good to aim for a date, but if you don't meet the date, then that's no big deal, particularly if you're not working for a studio or a company. If it's your game and you're making it and you have to delay it, that's no big deal. Hambone says, yeah, it will be first released on Google Play. Cool. Well, let me know when it is and I'll be purchasing it as well. Hambone says, certainly goals are not always a good... No, they're not. They're not always a good thing. We're constantly told set goals, set goals, set goals. The way to succeed in life is to set a goal. Now, that's not untrue, but it can be also hindering. So my advice is set a goal, but if you don't meet the goal, it's no big deal. Hambone says, I can only work on it about 1 to 2 hours a day. Well, yeah, and again, I get where you're coming from. I work on it more than 1 to 2 hours a day, but I have to do work for the ArchBiz studio as well, so my time is split between the two, and it can get exhausting, believe me. Good exhausting, but exhausting. And I'm just going through here with our overlays to see what I want to do. Hambone says, how much time do you get to work on the game each day? I try and divide my time evenly between the two studios. So I'll do an 8-hour day for the ArchBiz studio. I try to do at least between 6 and 8 hours a day. and then I'll match that with the game studio. So I haven't been going to bed till like 4 in the morning, and then I get up again at like 7. Now, I don't recommend people do that because it's really bad for your health. You need really a minimum 5 hours sleep, but I've been working like 16-hour days. That's why I wanted to take a break over the Christmas, New Year, because I knew it was going to be full on this year. That's why I did nothing over Christmas and New Year. Hambone says, I know, asking so many questions. That's all right. Smurfery says, oop. Hambone says, you are impressive. The Hambone says, how do you stay that motivated? Well, I love what I do, so doing 3D stuff is never really a chore for me anyway. I'd be doing it if I wasn't working anyway, you know what I mean? Because it's just what I like to do. So it doesn't feel like a job. So that helps stay motivated when you don't feel, when you do something you enjoy, it's easy to stay motivated. I'm not saying it's not tiring though. Working for 2 studios and working 16-hour days is very, very tiring. And when I say 16-hour days, I'm not just talking Monday to Friday. I work 7 days a week at the moment with these 2 projects, so with the 2 studios. So it's a full-on commitment. But I mean, I have to, because if I don't, the thing will never get done. And because I'm like the creative director of the project anyway, I'm responsible for steering the direction that the game goes in. So I have to stay on top of everything. Hambone says, should I try to push harder? Maybe at least more than 1 to 2 hours? Not if you don't want to. No, I don't think you should force yourself to do it if you don't feel like doing it. Particularly if you don't have a set deadline you have to meet. Why push yourself if you don't need to? Or if you're not responsible for other people? So my advice would be no. Unless you really want to, unless you're really enjoying it, then sure, do more than 1 to 2 hours a day. But if you're doing more than 1 to 2 hours and you're finding that you really don't like, you're not enjoying it, then don't push yourself. That would be my advice. Particularly, like I said, if you're not responsible for other people and it's your own game and all that sort of jazz, I wouldn't push myself. But I have to, because it's not just me. I have to, like I said, as the creative director and the technical artist, I have to sort of steer everything. So I have to make sure I'm on top of everything, which means I've got more work than I normally would have. But yeah, I would not advise other people to do it unless they really want to push themselves, to do stuff that they don't want to do, unless they need to. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to find another smart mask here. And let's go with, let's look at the fabric thread one. Hambone says, if I may ask, how has the wishlist response been? It's been pretty good, actually, Hambone. Hambone says, and any marketing things planned? I heard advertising, just buying ads works pretty well. Yeah, probably closer toward the release of the game at the end of the year, we'll run an ad campaign or 2, either Facebook or Twitter or wherever. At the moment, we did a marketing mail out when we announced the game on Steam, which was at the beginning of January, so about 4 weeks ago. And we got a good response from that. Like quite a few games websites ran articles on the announcement release for Steam, so that was good. And wish lists have been pretty good. Yeah, no, wish lists have been good so far. Yes, it was. I was surprised. It was good, and it was well received by the games websites that well, they couldn't review it because it's not available, but that published the announcement. They said nice things about it, which was good. So we were happy with the announcement of the game on Steam and the response we got from that. And the wish lists have been pretty good. Yep. But we will probably do an ad campaign toward the actual release date of the game. I'll speak to the guys about that, but at the moment we're concentrating on just actually making the thing, getting the thing made and finished. But it's fun. I was saying to the guys, because I used to work for a game studio before I went to work for film and before I went to work for Archviz. So it's been quite a few years since I've worked in games development, and I'd forgotten how much fun it was to do. All of the bad memories of when I used to work in games seem to have disappeared, and it's actually been a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. Much more fun than I thought it would be. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work, and it can be stressful, but it has been fun. Hambone says, I'm going to run about 2 to 5k ad campaign for my mobile game. If I lose it, I won't care. Be nice learning experience. You generally would have to spend at least 2k, yeah. 2 to 3,000 is generally an indie games ad campaign. Usually that's about what people will spend. As far as our budget goes, I couldn't tell you at this stage. It's too far down the line. We haven't really thought about it. And I have to speak to the other guys about it as well. It's not sort of just a decision I can make on my own. Hambone says that'd be the most important. I'm excited. Well, yeah, I'm excited as well. But like I said, I'm just enjoying making the game. Surprisingly, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It has surprised me just how much fun it is. Yeah, because I think I'd forgotten, because I worked in games so long ago. And it was the first industry I went into was games development, because I've always been a gamer and I've always been interested in games. I think it just really has a lot to do with the studio you work for too. I think that's could have been the problem with the last time I worked in games development, was the studio I worked for. Because I was new out of college and it was like my first gig working in games for that studio. I mean, I moved to other game studios after that were better. But that studio was a really bad experience. So that's why I say to you guys, if you're working for a studio and they don't treat you well, leave. Do not stick around, leave. Plenty of work around. Hambone says, I would say AAA would not be the best, and that's what it was. I was working on a AAA game at the time, and that's why I think I didn't enjoy it as well, because the crunch was terrible. The studio was pretty bad. Like, management were pretty bad. It sort of put me off games development for a while. But not anymore. I'm enjoying it. That's the important thing. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. And I am enjoying it, so. And it's all Sniper Echo's fault. He was the one that suggested that I make a game. But I'm glad he did, because, yep, it's been fun. I'm just pulling in, for anyone wondering what I'm doing here, I just want to darken up a few areas. So again, so we don't have a flat color. We've got a bit of color variation going on. I'm going to jump back to the mask on the underlying layer. And you might throw down another smart mask. Let's go with what do we go with? Let's have a look at the fibers one. Let's do an invert. Again, this bed is in a bedroom. It's been sealed for decades. So we want our cloth not to be new, but to be quite worn, dirty and old. But we might pull back a bit on this, I think. So again, I'm just introducing wear here and there inside the fabric itself, so the blanket doesn't look quite so new. Hambone says, but a small indie studio would be, yeah, I think that's the difference, will be fun, as long as the hours aren't too insane. Well, yeah, you can make your own hours. Well, at least I do. I mean, I like working anyway, because it's fun for me. Doing 3D is fun. So I don't mind working. When it's fun, and I'm lucky in that because the other studios, I still have to go in for meetings, but generally I can work from home a lot of the time for both studios. So it doesn't really feel like work because you're working from home as well. Aside from when I have meetings. And then I have no choice. But I don't mind going in for meetings either. I mean, they're a necessary evil as for when you're working on projects. You need meetings. Hambone says, I'm lucky enough to work from home, but my current software engineering, it's nice, isn't it? Engineering job. The only sticky part is being on call from time to time. Yeah. Thankfully, I'm not on call because what I do doesn't require an immediate response. But if you're doing software engineering, I could see why that could be different. A good friend of mine's a software engineer, and I know that he has been called out at all hours of the night and day, depending on the project. Like it wasn't unusual for him to be called out at 1 a.m. when something broke on a project that he was working on for some telecommunications company not that long ago. So, luckily, I'm not called on like that. I'd still be awake at 1 a.m. anyway, though. Hambone says, wake you up at 2 a.m. We need a teapot. That's right. We need you to model this teapot for us ASAP, Phil. But I have been working until 4 a.m. with the two studios. Phantom Ghost. Thank you, Phantom Ghost, for the follow. I do appreciate it, guys and girls, when you follow my Twitch channel. So thank you, Phantom Ghost, for following me on Phil Does 3D, and welcome. As always, guys, too, if you want, you can join the Discord, the Phil Does 3D Discord server. There's a link I've just popped into chat. If you just click that, you can get an invite to join the Discord server. You don't have to, but only subs can post links in my Twitch chat, but everyone can post links on my Discord server. I set it up for that reason. There's a gallery section where you can show up your work if you want. A tutorials and tips section, a folios and demo reel section where you can link to your folio and your demo reel and all that sort of stuff. So if you do want to join the Discord, just click that link. Now I don't want to go too overboard here with the damage with the wearing on this cloth, or the wear level on this cloth. I just want to pull it in a little bit. Subtle. Fee style. Is it fee style? Fine stuff. Fist style? Says, what do you think of Blender? My apologies if I'm butchering your username. Fee style? What do I think? I think Blender's great. Again, Smurfberry Barbecue was bitching about Blender at the beginning of my stream, saying that it doesn't have all the functionality of, let's say, Maya or Max. I don't use Blender personally, but I think Blender's a great piece of 3D software. We don't play favorites on my stream. I use Max. All of the different guys and girls that watch my stream use all the different 3D programs, everything from Maya to Blender to Cinema 4D. They're all very good. I think Blender's good, but I don't use Blender. B-Style, thank you for the follow as well. I do appreciate you following Phil Does 3D, and welcome. Yes, so to answer your question, I think Blender's good, but I don't use it personally. I use Max. And don't ask Smurfberry, because he was, like I said, he was bitching about it at the beginning of the stream. But I know that Sniper Echo, who's one of my mods, he loves Blender. He uses Blender. A lot of people that pop into my stream use Blender and they love it. So, and it's free. So, you know, you don't spend a cent. Hambone says, I'm going to use Blender when I finally get started again tomorrow, only because it's free. That's right, it's free. You can't get better than free. I mean, you know, you don't pay a cent. It's the same if you want to make a game. Use UE4 or use Unity. You don't pay anything unless you're selling. And once you start selling, you pay Epic Games like 5% royalty. I think it's after $3,000 in sales. But you can download it and use it for free. And if you never make anything that you're going to sell, then you never pay anything. No problem, Chiotara. You'll be right back. So yeah, download either UE4 or Unity and play around with that if you're thinking about making a game. It's never been a better time to be an indie developer than there is now with all the great software that's free to use. Hambone says, and the source code is available, as I'm a nerd, so I like that sort of thing. I thought Blender was open source, so yeah, it makes sense that the source code would be available, and that's really cool. Yeah, I know a lot of people like open source because of that. Hambone says, great time to be an indie, even a solo indie. It certainly is. Never been a better time to make your game. If you've ever had an idea for a game in your head, now is a good time to be doing it because of all the free software, the free 3D programs, the free game engines, until you start selling. And it's easy to launch your game, say on Steam, if that's what you want to do, or on Google Play if you want to make a mobile game like Hambone is. It's relatively easy and not very expensive to do. So. Peppery says, I think he meant the UE4 source. Oh, no, I don't think the UE4 source is available. No, he meant Blender. Yeah, because Blender is open source. Unreal is not open source. Epic Games have not released the source code for Unreal, not that I'm aware of. Have they? Maybe they have. I know you can compile your own builds. I don't know, because I've never actually gone down that route with Unreal, so I'm not sure. Yeah, Smurf says UE4 source is available. I was assuming maybe it must be because you can compile your own builds. You can download them from GitHub and can do your own compile. If you're so inclined, I don't generally do that. I wait for Epic to release a pre-compiled build and I download that. It's easier and quicker and simpler. Hambone says they have, but do think some of it is not available. Yeah, I thought there might be areas that weren't open sourced in their engine, proprietary stuff that Epic haven't open sourced as part of the engine, which is fair enough. I mean, that's their that's their IP, that's their program. They've developed it for years and years and years, and all that development costs. It's like Microsoft. They don't open source Windows. They don't give you the source code for Windows because of all the money that they've spent developing it. Which is fair enough. Be nice if they did, but it's fair enough. Hambone says, so not all of it if I understand it correctly. Very good, your art style. Oh, thank you, Feast Style. I'm glad you like my art station. I have to update it actually. I've done some more work since then that I haven't put on ArtStation, so I should really do that. Swap out a couple of the images here and there for new ones. Because we did that project, guys that are regular to my channel, before we started working on this game. I was working on a model that I sell on my Creative Market store, which is a Baroque. Was it the Baroque Terrace? No, the Baroque Terrace was the other one. It was the... What did I call it? I can't even remember what I called the thing. Let me have a look. Isn't that bad? I made the model and I can't remember what I called it. You can go to phildoes3d.com to find out more about me. Temple of the Winds, that's what it was. I thought to myself, what? So yeah, we did this project on stream before the current project we're doing. What was my point for bringing that up? Yeah, so this sort of thing I want to put on ArtStation. I haven't put it on my ArtStation yet. So I have to do that. God, always closed. It's so annoying. I don't think we need to get too carried away with this blanket. I just want a bit of variation in the colour. I want a bit of wear happening here and there in the blanket. That'll probably be okay. I wanted to keep the blanket quite neutral as far as a pattern goes as well, because we have that damask pattern on the quilt at the bottom. We're going to have a damask pattern on the pillows at the top. So I wanted to keep the middle of the bed quite neutral, because too we're going to have a damask pattern on the curtains on the side of the bed. So Freestyle says, very good. Too bad my English isn't so good. I would learn a lot from you. Well, that's okay. I've been understanding your English. Remember, Freestyle, if while I'm working you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. The whole reason I'm on Twitch is to help you guys and to encourage you guys and girls to do 3D. I want you guys to do it because it's fun. And if you need any help, feel free to ask in the chat. Or if you want to join the Discord server, feel free to ask in the Discord. Your English, from what I can see, has been fine. If I need more information, I'll ask, but I'm here to help. The guys and girls on the Discord are all very friendly and very helpful, regardless of whether you speak English well or not, wherever you're from. So do that. Never feel that you can't ask questions while I'm working, because it's the whole reason I'm on Twitch. I'm not here to do my own stuff so necessarily. I'm here to encourage you guys to do 3D and to help you if I can. Not pretending to be an expert. I don't know everything, but I'm willing to help if I give it a try if I can help. So let's save this as blanket, because we've got a few other bits and pieces to do for the bed. You can't spend all stream just doing the blanket. And let's export the texture. And again, I'm going to export it at 1K. I think at 1K will probably be plenty big enough instead of 2K. Let's make sure we send it to the right folder. Models, bedroom, chosen, canopy bed. Export. Alrighty. No problem. No problem, B-Style. We're going to create a new project. We're going to select the pillow. Bed pillow. Again, we'll leave it at 1K. Compute tangent space because we're bringing it into a game engine. Eventually. So we have our pillow. Let's just rename it bed pillow for our texture name. Let's bake out our maps. We'll bake it 2K, but we're going to export it 1K. Use the low poly as the high poly. Okay. Now, I want to use the smart material we created from the quilt on this pillow. So I'm going to go into our smart materials and we're going to load up that smart material we exported, or we created, my bed quilt, this one here. So let's throw that down. Let's delete the blank layer at the bottom. Now the reason nothing is showing up is because we have mask with color selection happening on a few of these bits and pieces, so we just need to go through and make sure any that have a mask with color selection is removed. Like this one. And this one. And this one. I'm just wondering why I'm still not seeing anything. Why is that? We need to clear the mask. That's the other reason. Actually, we need to remove the mask. So if it's a blank mask, we need to remove it. Now the color looks a little strange. Let me just work out what's going on here. So I'm just going to turn the top. Oh, no, I can't turn that one off. I'm going to turn that one off. So this is an underlying, is this the underlying plain color, I think? Just need to try and work out what's going on here. I'm pretty sure that's the underlying fabric. So let's just turn that off temporarily, and then we have this one, which is just adding a bit of a different color mix to it. Just going to look at my mixing here and see what's going on. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. This was the mattress, not the quilt. We didn't actually want the mattress as part of this, so I'm going to remove that layer completely. I was wondering what was going on. We need to clear out these masks, remove them. You're going to sleep, Freestyle? No problem. Thank you for being here. Thank you for popping in. I'm live every Monday and Tuesday at this time. If you want to watch me when I'm live again next, I'll be back next week. But thank you for popping in. Thank you for following the channel, Freestyle, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. You have a good night's sleep. See you later. Yes, it is, Hambone. It is my lunchtime. You are correct. It's 1 p.m. in the afternoon for me. So, yep, my lunchtime. I haven't eaten. I actually have lunch after I finish my stream, so I haven't had lunch yet. I'll have it once I've finished the stream in an hour. Yeah, I'll have lunch then. And I'm going to have chili today. I like my chili. Some nice chili with some beef chili. Yum. And beans. Yum. So yes, it'll be chili today, Hambo, for lunch. And then I'm going to have fresh mango for dessert after lunch. No ice cream, no cream, just the mango outside. Yes, Meppery likes his chili as well, I know. Hambone says, I'm going to have that tomorrow. Oh, you yum. Good to see all you guys like spicy chili. I love chili. Love it, love it. Let's just play with the mixing of this layer. Hambone says, I love mango. I'm trying to eat healthier as well. Well, fresh fruit is really healthy and really good for you. So if you're trying to eat healthy, I recommend having fresh fruit. That's what I'll be doing for my dessert after lunch will be fresh mango. I've already cut it up into little cubes and put it in a bowl, and it's in the fridge being chilled because it's summer here, so it's hot. I want chilled mango. Hambone says, I eat too much candy and drink too much. I drink too much soda as well. I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola. Unfortunately, Coke is really bad, full of sugar, but I love it so much. So I can relate, Hambo, and I love my soft drink as well. But I do try and limit how much I drink, and I do try and limit how many sweet things I eat. pretty much the only sweet thing that I eat is Oreos. I love Oreos. Love them. But that's the only sweet thing I eat. I don't eat ice cream anymore. I don't eat cakes or, or chocolate. Just Oreos. I'm trying to be good. B-Style says it's 23:09, so 11:09 at night, I'm assuming, B-Style. 11:10 p.m. Getting late. Time for bed. Hambone says, I drink about 2 Cokes a day. Oh, no, I'm not that bad. No. I wouldn't drink 2 Cokes a day. I might drink 2 Cokes a week, but not a day. I used to drink a 2-litre bottle when I was really big, really heavy. Like, I used to be very, very round. Back in the day, I used to drink a 2-litre bottle of Coke a day. That's one of the reasons I put so much weight on, I think. But yeah, gone are the bad old days. Nope, I don't do that anymore. Smurbery says, oh. Hambone says, probably going to die soon. I'm 31. Oh no, Hambone. Bro, the Smurbery says, bro, come on. Don't say that. Don't say you're going to die. Stop drinking the Coke. I know it can be hard because, like I said, I used to drink 2 litres a day of Coca-Cola. This was, 15 years ago when I was very, very heavy. And it's not good for you because there's so much sugar in Coca-Cola. I mean, I still drink Coke, but I don't drink 2 litres a day anymore. And I found that when I stopped doing that, I lost a lot of weight. My diet was terrible back then. It wasn't just Coke. I used to love Mars bars. I don't know if you have those in the United States. Do you have Mars bars? They're like chocolate-coated nougat and caramel. So the bottom layer is nougat, the top layer is caramel, and then it's all covered in chocolate. And I used to love Mars bars, so I used to guzzle those things down as well. Hambone says, oh no, never knew you used to be. Yes, I did. I used to be very, very big. Very big. I used to be a round little ball, like really, really quite overweight. I lost all my weight. It'd be a good probably 10 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer, when I changed my diet. So yeah, no more Mars bars and very little Coca-Cola. Not compared to what it used to be. Hero says yellow. Yellow to you too, Euro. Smurbery says blue. Hambone says, congrats on that. That's tough. It is. Look, it's hard to lose weight. It's easy and quick to put it on, and it's slow and hard to lose it. So, I'm not going to say it was easy. It was difficult because I was used to eating what I wanted and drinking what I wanted, and I used to eat and drink all the wrong sort of things. So getting into the habit of trying to eat more healthy was hard, and losing the weight was hard. The good thing about losing weight, though, is once you start to see results, it motivates you to keep going. You know what I mean? So initially, until you start to see the results, it can be incredibly hard because a lot of us use food as comfort food. That's what they call it. So, you have a bad day at work, you want to eat. You stress out with your partner, you want to eat. That sort of thing. So stress can make people eat. Stress eating, they call it. So it can be difficult. Difficult to stay on a diet, stick to a diet and to lose weight. Hambone says, I'm not overweight at all, but I know I do not eat healthy. My metabolism has always been crazy fast. That's another good thing about chili. Chili increases your metabolism. So if you do want to lose weight, try eating a lot of chili because it will help your body metabolize food faster. It'll help you lose weight, basically. I'm not saying just eat chili, but I'm saying if you're eating food with some chili in it, that will help increase your metabolic rate. And I love chili anyway. I love spicy food. But it's good that you've got a fast metabolism, Hambone, particularly by the sound of it, with all the Coke you're drinking. Hambone says, well, eating is fun. It is fun. Euro says, I lost 2 stone, 12 kilo, the past 3 months. All that food wasted. Well, congratulations on losing 2 stone or 12 kilos, Euro. That's pretty impressive as well. All that food wasted. Yes, that's right. That's what you should think when you go out and you spend a fortune drinking alcohol, because you know where all that alcohol is going to end up at the end of the night anyway. It's all going to go into the toilet. So that's the way, that sort of helped me stop drinking as well. Because I was a wild child. I mean, you know, I'd go out to raves, I'd be out all night long, I'd drink myself stupid, not to mention all the other stuff that goes on when you go to a rave. I was a wild child in my younger day. So as you get older, you get a bit more staid, and I'm happy that I don't drink myself stupid anymore because I don't like having a hangover the next day, and it saves me a heap of money. I'm not saying it wasn't fun when I was doing it; it was a heap of fun. But yeah, I'm glad I don't do it anymore. Euro says, yeah, I just cut out all that crap. Christmas dinners didn't help. No, they never do. The holiday period is the worst time for being on a diet. Hambone says, I went through a small phase where I was drinking a lot, but I've calmed down, had to get it out of my system. Hangovers they are the worst. They are the worst. I mean, yeah, it's fun at the time, but man, the next morning you feel like crap. At least I do. I was telling the guys, I still drink at special occasions. Like I had a drink over New Year's Eve because I don't drink throughout the rest of the year, and I only drink at like the Melbourne Cup or New Year's Eve, or maybe at Christmas I'll have a glass of wine. But I drank an entire bottle of wine to myself over New Year's Eve because I was with some friends at home, and man, did I feel like crap the next day. It made me reaffirm why I didn't drink much anymore. I felt like crap. It was bad. I'm trying to decide if I might increase the pattern on this damask a little bit. I think the pattern is just a bit too small. So we are just going to have to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off a few layers at a time so it's easier for me to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with the dirt layer at the top. I need to leave that on, but I want to turn these ones off. I need to leave that one on, but I want to turn these ones off. Okay, this base one is not... Well, let me clear out this mask. That's probably would help. Remove the mask, not clear it. There we go. Let's start at the bottom. Let's decrease our tiling a little bit. Maybe something like that. And so we're tiling at 4.11. Now we just have to copy that tile value on all of our other pieces. That's actually not the damask pattern, so we don't need to change that. Don't think this one is either. No. Hambone says, I will say having a hangover makes you appreciate not being hungover though. That's true. Euro says, I had a couple of bottles of whiskey over Christmas period. Don't drink it all. Didn't drink it all last year. Didn't get a hangover from it. Just a few weird. Just felt weird for a few days. Well, geez, I want to be you there, Euro, because I get terrible hangovers. Terrible hangovers. Whiskey. I've never been fond of whiskey. I like bourbon, but whiskey, a bit too strong for me. But I used to be a big fan of bourbon. Hambone says, I went to a concert not too long ago. Had a lot to drink, like way too much. The next day I puked like crazy. Well, that's never nice either. Oh, wow. Euro says, I've never been much of a spewer. Although whenever I have, it's gone the distance. Oh yeah. Euro says I'm Scottish. Anti-hangover is in the genes. Well, that explains it. The Scottish know how to handle their liquor. The Australians generally do too as well, I have to say, except this Australian. I can't handle my liquor. I don't think we need to do anything for this now. Let's export this. Actually, let's make sure we save it. And we're calling it Pillow 1. Let's export the texture. Yeah, I don't miss drinking. I really don't. I don't mind doing it at special occasions, but not every day like I used to, and I don't miss it. That's a good thing. We're going to export at 1K, should be plenty. We could probably even do 512 actually on these pillows. Yeah, let's do 512. We'll export at 512. The beauty of Substance is we can always come back and re-export it higher if we need to. So now I do want to make 2 versions of these pillows so that we have a bit of variation going on at the end of the bed. So we have the damask pattern which matches the quilt at the base of the bed. We could also now add one that matches the blanket that we just textured up before. The Hambone says, if you had bourbon, it was probably made near me. Oh, really? Love bourbon. I still love bourbon. When I do want to have a drink, it's always nice to have a bourbon. I'm a big wine drinker though. Euro says, yeah, same. I was between meds, not drinking, so made the best of it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reload the project for the blanket because we didn't make, I want to save out the smart material. So let's load up the blanket. Let's put all of these into its own group. I'm going to call it My Bed Blanket. And let's convert that to a smart material. That's good. Now let's reopen the... actually, let's create a new project. Let's select the pillow again. $1K is fine. We can discard. I don't need to keep that. And now let's add the smart material we just saved out. Get rid of the blank layer at the bottom. Let's just go through this and make sure, see if there are any changes we want to make to our masking. Which there probably will be because it's a different object, so we want to probably mask it up a little bit differently. Move up to the next one. And the next one. I think the pattern running horizontally is probably the way to go, not vertically. Yeah, horizontal. Hambone says, I wonder how making indie games compares to indie music as far as revenue is concerned. I don't know. I do have a composer working with me with the studio for the game. It's a French guy, actually. He used to work for Ubisoft. He's doing the music for the game and the sound effects. Well, he's doing the ambient sound effects and he did the music for the game as well. You should ask him. Euro says, I don't know, independent music market is super diluted. Plenty of artists publishing their own stuff these. That's true. There is a lot of indie music people now. Hambone says, true, lots of indie devs too though. Yeah, I think there are. Lots of indie devs for music as well. I don't think there's anything else we really need to change here. So let's save this as Pillow 2. Whoops. And let's export the texture. I'm just trying to work out, I'm just trying to decide. I might actually, I might just do a little bit more work on this pillow actually. And we might go back to the pillow 1 as well. Just going to look for, let's see. I'm going to throw this bamboo one on top. It's just called bamboo, it's not bamboo. Let's increase the tiling. Let's go back to our smart masks. I want to see if there's a smart mask that might be cool. I've got Discord open and MuxieBot has just posted in my Discord that I'm live. I mean, too bad that I'm an hour and a half into the stream. I just think that's funny. MuxieBot's a bit slow on the uptake today on Discord. Nero says, yeah, there's lots of garbage out there too. No offense to those people, but looking at Steam, there's so much junk there. Yeah, I've noticed some of the games that are released on Steam. Some of them are pretty rubbish. Like it looks like they put no effort into it at all. Yeah, I think those sort of games. I think people make to try and turn a quick buck. You know what I mean? You can generally tell pretty quickly. There is some garbage on there, I agree, Euro. Hambone says, I'm probably going to add it to the pile. You won't add to the pile, Hambone. Don't say that. I'm sure you'll do a great job. Euro says, I generally just listen to SoundCloud to find new artists. Yeah, SoundCloud's pretty good. I've checked out SoundCloud occasionally as well. Let's have a look here. It's got to be something I can use that I like. No, this one is not going to do it for me, which is a real shame. Did I bake these out? No, I didn't bake them out. No wonder. Oh, man. Alright, did I do that for the last pillow? I hope I did. Let's bake out these maps. I think I did. I just forgot to do this one. Man. Let's change the material name too while I'm at it. We're going to call it Pillow 2. I was wondering why my curvature values weren't working on my smart mask. And it's because I didn't bake it out. I don't think that this mask is really what I want, so I'm going to try something new. We'll choose a different mask. Nero says, yeah, 50p games, sell a bunch, no care. Yeah, that's right. That's the other thing I don't... You know when a game is going to be crap when they charge you like, you know, when they're asking like $3.95 for the game, $3.95. I mean, you can't make a game for that. It's not going to be a good game if you can. Hambone says, would you like to be even more popular on Twitch and maybe even a little Twitch famous? Why? What do you got in mind, Hambone? Should I be worried? What you got in mind? Again, this smart mask is not really going to do it for me, I don't think. It's not really the look I'm going for, unfortunately. Hambone says, nothing in mind, just curious. Would I like to be even more... Well, the question Hambone is asking, would you like to be even more popular on Twitch? And maybe even a little Twitch famous? Look, I wouldn't mind being Twitch famous, but it's not my life goal. I mean, you know, more popular is always good. Everyone wants to be popular, don't they? Don't all the cool kids want to be popular? So I wouldn't say no, but it's not, like I said, it's not one of my life goals. Nice if it happens. If it doesn't happen, I won't lose sleep. Euro says there's people who stat whore on Steam, buy a bunch of 50p games to gain... Yeah, well, isn't a trading cards thing as well? They buy cheap games to get trading cards. I don't know why, but trading cards. I've never really gotten into that whole side of Twitch with trading cards. Euro says, I think those games are literally made to milk those people. I think you're right. What's 50p? It's like 50 cents. Yep. Yeah, because you can't make a game for 50 cents. I'm sorry. That's just not a good game anyway. I want to find a smart mask that's going to do what I want. There's got to be one here. Because I've used it before. I just can't remember what it was. Let's look at the occlusion strong. Maybe it was that one. I use so many, I forget which ones are which and which ones I want to use. This one does not seem to be doing a lot at all. Yeah, let's remove that. It's not what I want. Euro says, today's Discord update sucks. I'm totally not a fan of highlighting each message as the mouse pointer goes over them. I didn't do an update today. I didn't realize. Is that a new thing in Discord? Yeah, I'll check it out. I haven't done an update on the Discord app this morning or today. Man, they update that program way too much as well. I mean, I get annoyed with Substance being updated all the time, but Discord, they update Discord too much as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like new things. I like new shiny things to play with, but don't do updates every week. It gets exhausting. I don't want to have to update every week my software, regardless of what it is. Hambone says those Discord updates are, oh my god, so they are annoying, aren't they? Because they do it too much. Too much. Don't update so much Discord. It's unnecessary. Now, what have I done here? Where are my attributes? Where are my settings? What have I done? I've closed something up. There we go. I hate that too. Like, wasn't looking where I was clicking and I closed one of the parameters up and couldn't find what I do the same sort of thing when I'm using other software. This is not really the one, not really what I want either. I'm after a specific filter. Or mask, a specific mask, and I know it's here. I just can't seem to find it. It's not this one either. It's so annoying. Euro says, I mean, TeamSpeak, sorry, was the same for years because people liked it that way. The GUI. Euro says, dust stain, second from the left, middle row. Yeah, it's not second from the left, middle row. Oh, this one you're talking about? Yeah, let's see if it was this one. Yeah, I don't know if this is the one either. I used it when we did the light fittings, the sconces for the walls for the master bedroom, but I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the edges ones, but it's, yeah, I can't remember which edge one it was. Let's try the cavities one. No, it wouldn't have been the cavities one. Euro says, oh, third from the left, you're sitting in front of the panel. You're talking about this one? Yeah, no, I don't think it was dust. I do use the dust one on the when we do the furniture quite a bit, but I don't want a general overall pattern. I want a filter that I could do it by hand. I mean, worst comes to worst, I could always go there and do it by hand. I want edge wearing. That's basically what I'm looking for. So wearing along the edges of the pillow. And I know that there is a smart mask here that will do it, but I just can't seem to find it. It's not really the one that I want. I'm just trying to see if we can make it work. I mean, I'm not saying we can't use it, but that's not really the effect I was after. What we can do though is I can go into the mask. We can do some painting by hand because we haven't done that in a project so far for a while, so let's do that. Let's just reduce the brush size a little bit. Hambone says, I'm going to jump in the bed a little early. See you. No problem, Hambone. Thanks for being here and for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. It's good to see you. What's going on here? You have a good night, Hambone. The Space Human says, hello sir, I have a quick question if you don't mind. No, I don't. I'm looking at a Ryzen 3950X PC, 64GB RAM and a 2070 RTX graphics card. Do you know if that card is good enough for simulation for things such as water, fire and smoke? Yes, it will be. The RTX 2070 is pretty powerful. I don't think you have a problem at all. The Ryzen CPU is a good CPU, 64 gig of RAM, very good. And the 2070 RTX, it'll be fine. The Space Human. And welcome to Phil Does 3D. So no, you'll have no problems at all. Why is that happening? And it sounds like a really sweet system too to be putting together. Very nice. Oh. So annoying. It's not what I want. This is not what I want either. Yura says, I wonder what new GPUs we'll see this year. Aren't AMD due to release a new architecture this year as well, or update their architecture, their CPUs? So AMD CPUs are amazing. Compared to Intel, the value you get from an AMD CPU is the way to go. The Space Human, thank you for following Phil Does 3D. I do appreciate it. So thank you for the follow, the Space Human. Yura says, I know NVIDIA is prepping stuff. AMD too. Yes, NVIDIA are due to release new video cards this year. So the Space Human, if you do want to hold off on buying a new video card, you might want to hold off for a few months because NVIDIA are due to release new cards this year. Unless you can get the 2070 for a really good deal, then by all means go ahead and do it. Space Human says, thank you so much for your input. I want to get the 2080 Ti, but short of a few $100. It's if you want to buy a 2080 Ti in Australia where I live, it'll cost you about nearly 2,000 Australian dollars. It's incredibly expensive. That's the import tax we pay here. So I get why you don't want to spend that money, even if it's less than $2,000 that we have to spend here, the Space Human. So he says, I figure I can always upgrade that later. Do you mostly model? I do. I'm a 3D artist. I work for an ArchViz studio and a game studio. I'm working on a game at the moment. That's just what you see me working on here in Substance Painter and in Max. We're doing the bed for the master bedroom for the game. So, but I mainly do 3D work, yep. That's my bread and butter. Euro says, I've had a 3900X since launch, can't complain. Yeah, no, the AMD CPUs are great value for money, particularly compared to what you pay for Intel. I mean, I use an Intel, but I have AMD machines as well. So, Euro says, Ryzen 4000 will be out in the back end of this year too. If you can't wait 6 months, I'd hold off. If you can wait 6 months, I'd hold off, especially considering new GPUs are due this year. Yes, new GPUs from both AMD and NVIDIA are due this year, so that'll be interesting to see what they both come up with. Because I mean, the rumours flying around about how much faster the new GPUs will be over the current generation, I should say. But if you play the waiting game, sometimes you can be waiting forever, you know. You can think, oh, I'll wait till the new one comes out. Then when the new one comes out, 6 months later, there's a rumour that something else is going to be coming out, so you can always be waiting. But having said that, they are due this year at some stage, the new GPUs. and CPUs. Euro says Ryzen 4000 will have lower memory latency too, so performance will be up. The Space Human says to Euro, I feel like the 3950X is already overkill. Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, the 3950X is a beast of a CPU, no doubt about it. All of the new Ryzen CPUs are pretty beastly. All AMD's new stuff. Like I said, compared to Intel, because Intel, they charge a fortune for their CPUs, and they're nowhere near as good a value as AMD. And AMD now are probably as fast, if not faster, because they have more cores. And it's all about the cores, particularly if you're doing rendering work or video work. You want the cores. I really wish I could find this mask that I'm looking for. It's got to be here. The curvature just does not seem to be wanting to work correctly. I mean, I baked out the map, so that's not a problem. Euro says, I can play Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 2K and it doesn't use more than 15% CPU, so I have to agree. Matt Gordon says, you render with CPU? I use hybrid rendering. When I do work for the ArchViz Studio, Matt, we use V-Ray, and we use both the CPU and the GPU as part of the render. Yeah. Because the real-time renderers don't have all of the features that a ray trace render has. So it has like 90% of the stuff you want to do, but there are some features using the GPU accelerated rendering that don't work, that you have to do in ray tracing. But yeah, we use V-Ray, so we use both. We use both the CPU and the GPUs, and we use multiple GPUs and CPUs as part of the render network. But that's in V-Ray. The Space Human says, that will definitely be tuning into your streams. Love seeing other creators at work while I work on my own projects. Well, we welcome the Space Human. You are more than welcome to join us again. I'm live every Monday and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. There is a countdown clock below my stream and my panels that'll tell you when the next stream is coming up, or you can follow me on social media at Twitter at PhilDoes3D, because I post when I go live to there as well. Man, I appreciate the follow. Matt, I appreciate the follow from you too, Matt Gordon. So thank you for following PhilDoes3D and welcome. Always good to have new guys and girls. Remember too, if you've got any questions while I'm working, please feel free to ask. I'm on Twitch, not just to do my own stuff, but to encourage you guys to do 3D as well. It's the whole point of me actually streaming. Is to get you guys and girls into doing 3D, and I know a lot of you are, which is good. I really wish I could find this smart mask done. It's driving me nuts. It just seems the curvature on this is just not throwing the curvature in the right spot for some reason. Trying to see if we can't work around it. We can probably work around it. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to change the color on the underlying fabric. I'm going to darken it up. It's way too bright. I just want the cushion to look a bit older, a bit more worn, not quite so new. Oh, the cushion, the pillow I mean. It's not a cushion, it's a pillow. Matt Gordon says, I'm using RTX optics. RTX is the way to go, real-time ray tracing. Nero says, plus with large renders, GPUs don't have enough RAM for some scenes, so you have to hybridize it across a system and do some on the CPU where they have more RAM available. That's true too. The Space Human says, is there a power supply minimum you would recommend for a system such as this one I described? I think the one it was going to come with was 500 watts. 500 watts would probably be the minimum I would suggest. I'm using 650 watt power supply in my computer. I have an Intel 6-core 12-thread CPU, and I'm using an RTX 2080. So my recommendation would be, I'm not saying you couldn't use 500 watt, but the power supply is the most important part of your computer because it powers all of the rest of it. So it powers everything else. So you want to make sure you get a good quality power supply. Don't get some cheap brand. Because the efficiency will be better, so it'll be cheaper for power builds in the future as well. So get a good quality one, good brand, and I would recommend minimum 600 watt for a 2070. But if you buy a good power supply and then you can upgrade other parts of your computer, it's the one thing that you generally don't have to change out unless it's like over 10 years old, which I recently did. I used to have an Antec 600 watt power supply that was getting on. It was about 7 or 8 years old, and when I upgraded the computer and bought a new PC actually, bought new parts, I put the computer together myself. I upgraded the power supply to I think it's a Seasonic 650 watt. So I thought I might as well, because I'm going to keep the power supply now for the next 7 or 8 years at least. So always get a good power supply, a good brand, because it powers everything else, and you don't want a dodgy power supply ruining the rest of your equipment, which can happen if there's a power surge or a spike or anything like that. People don't understand just how important power supply is to a smooth running system as well, like less blue screens and stuff. You can get blue screens from unstable power supplies, So that would be my suggestion, the Space Human. At least, if you're short on funds, you could probably get away with 500 watts, but I would say 600 would be better. Euro says go higher. Euro says I have a decent 850 watt for future upgrades. That's right, particularly if you want to do SLI, you need at least 850 would be good for that. Euro says you also have to account for power use by cooling, SSD, hard disk drive, USB for peripherals, etc. Well, that's true. Matt Gordon says I have Xeon servers with NVIDIA Quadros. I don't know what a blue screen is. Sweet. Xeon and Quadros. Nice. What sort of work are you doing, Matt? That's a pretty sweet setup. Euro says he must run Linux. Okay, so I just wanted to add a little bit of weathering and wearing along the edges of the cushion, the pillow. Not a cushion. Don't call it a cushion. It's a pillow. It's a pillow for the bed. So now that we've done that, let's save this file. And let's export our textures. And again, we're going to export at 512. Should be big enough for these cushions. Let's make sure we set it to the right folder. Models, bedroom, chosen, canopy bed. Export. Save the project again. Now let me just jump back into Mac so we can check out what we're doing. So we've textured up that curtain. We're going to instance it inside of the Unreal Engine for the other two. We've textured up one pillow. We've created two texture versions of the one pillow, which we will also instance inside of the game engine. We've textured up the blanket, which we're only going to use singly inside of the engine. And we've textured up the mattress and the quilt at the base of the bed, which means what we have left is the actual bed frame now to actually texture up. I think everything else is textured up, which is cool. So what the plan of action I think will be is on Monday next week when I'm back next, we will texture up the main bed frame, and then after that, I think all of the furniture is pretty much made for the master bedroom. So what we can do is jump into the Unreal Engine and start actually designing the bedroom, putting the bedroom together, designing, placing the furniture, creating how we want it to look. I think all that's left for me to do is the wall paneling, the wooden wall paneling for the bedroom. I've done the floor. So hopefully if I get a chance, I'll do the wall paneling between when we finish texturing the bed up and when we want to start putting it together in UE4 for the game. And if I don't, we can do it on stream. So I'll either do it on stream or off stream, but on Monday next week when I'm back next, we will start texturing up the actual wooden four-poster bed frame itself. Now that we've got all of the fabric and bits and pieces all textured up, that's the plan. Matt says, no, Blender, no, I run Windows 10. The Space Human says to Euro, is the power supply something easily upgraded to get one above what you think your system needs? It's all wires and plugs. Hang on. It is easily upgraded. Euro says, yeah, pretty much. It's all wires and plugs, but always better to get one above what you think your system needs. That is true. Just to give yourself extra headroom, because you don't want to be running your power supply close to the limit because they're not very efficient. So you're going to lose efficiency in your power supply if you're pushing it right up to its limit. So even though it might run all of your parts okay, if it's right up to the limit of the power supply, it's not very efficient. So you're going to use more electricity. It's going to wear out more quickly, all that sort of stuff. So it's always better to go a little bit higher than you need, and that way you can stay at like the 80% efficiency range, which will reduce your power bills the most and put the least strain on the actual hardware, the power supply itself. And it's not difficult to install. There are a lot of plugs, but it's quite simple to actually install a new power supply, really. Matt says most crashes are caused by RAM failure. EEC RAM has no errors. Non-ECC RAM fails and causes crashes. That's true, but a bad power supply can also cause blue screens. If any of the parts of your computer suddenly can't get enough power, then that can blue screen your computer as well. So don't think that having a power supply that's either bad quality or not powerful enough to run whatever you're doing at the time on the computer, it can crash your PC as well. But you are right, RAM is generally the number one culprit for blue screens. Drivers can cause blue screens as well. Sometimes a new driver for whatever can blue screen your computer, whether it's audio, video, whatever. But so can the power supply. And I would, like I said, because your power supply powers everything else in the computer, like your CPU and your motherboard, your hard drives, all those things cost, you spend good money to buy them. You don't want to risk buying them with a poor quality power supply or don't cheap out on the power supply. That's what I'm trying to say. Euro says PSUs are pretty cheap in scope of a PC cost. That's true. They are not too expensive nowadays for a good quality one. I'd rather spend an extra $30 to $50 for a better PSU and not have to worry about it. That's right, not risk destroying your $600 CPU or your $1,000 GPU. You know what I mean? Spend the extra 50 or 60, get the quality power supply and have peace of mind. I think though we might leave it there for today, guys and girls. I do want to thank you all though very much for hanging out with me and for watching. Do remember I'm live every Monday and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. That's midday if you're in Australia or the Asia Pacific, or around 1 a.m. if you're in the UK or Europe. Pardon me. I will be back on again, obviously, Monday next week, 5 p.m. Again, I want to thank Matt, Gordon, the Spaceman, B-Style, and Phantom Ghost for following my Phil Does 3D Twitch channel. I do appreciate the follows. So thank you guys very much. Remember too, if you do want to join the Discord server, you are more than welcome, the Phil Does 3D Discord server, if you want to show off your work or that sort of stuff. Check out the Phil Does 3D Discord server. There's an invite link. I've just popped into chat there. You guys and girls have a great weekend. I will hopefully see you all again. Thank you for Matt. I'm glad you like my art station. Thank you for hanging out with me and for being here and for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. I know there are a lot of streamers you could be watching, so I appreciate you taking time and hanging out with me while I work. I'll be back on Monday next week. You guys have a great weekend. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week. See ya.